Good afternoon, everyone. Please indicate that you can hear me in the chat box. Good afternoon and welcome to this Fine and Country Real Estate webinar. The theme for today is Real Estate is Spiritual. Please let me know that you can hear me clearly. Not sure you can see me. Peter, it's your screen I'm seeing. Okay, fantastic. Please let us know where you're logging in from. Just indicate your city. Where you're logging in from. I'm going to take a minute or two to just get acquainted with all the guests and participants. I see Kigali, that's amazing, awesome. Lagos, fantastic. Shanghai, China, awesome, that's amazing. Awesome, fantastic. Toronto, Canada, Ibadan, fantastic. This is an excellent audience, awesome. Please keep it coming. I did see Nairobi, Kenya, Lagos, UK again. Awesome. Ghana, great. I'm glad to see Ghana here too. Fantastic. Let's see how many countries we're getting on here. Okay, you can hear me. Fantastic. Awesome. My next question, I see Enugu. Awesome. I went to school in Enugu. I see Lekki. Fantastic. Great stuff. Great stuff. Okay. My next question is, do you believe that real estate is spiritual? I see Victoria Island, that's amazing. Do you believe that real estate is spiritual? Just indicate yes or no. Okay, I'm just trying to get a sense of who is here. Yes or no, real estate is spiritual. Fantastic, I see quite a few yeses. Awesome. So clearly you believe that real estate is spiritual, and that's why you've come out to today's webinar hosted by Fine and Country West Africa. Not so sure what I believe. Thank you for that. Uzamaka, not so sure what I believe, which is why I'm here. Awesome. Not really. Okay, good. I see different, okay, fantastic. Here to learn. Awesome. Thank you guys for your comments. Awesome. So people from various countries, I see China, Toronto, Ghana, Kenya, Kigali, Rwanda. That's really amazing. You're all welcome to today's webinar by Fine and Country West Africa. And the theme is real estate is spiritual. What I'd like to do today is provide a spiritual context and some practical perspectives to real estate investment to help build investor confidence. And by investor confidence, I'm really referring to the broad spectrum of investors. At Fine and Country West Africa, the vast majority of our clients are astute investors. So which means they're discerning, they're very knowledgeable, they have current and accurate insight, which they have by virtue of their levels of investment and profile. But in addition, our company provides them ongoing current and accurate insight to enable them make informed decisions, as it were. However, in this season and in the last few years, we've started to broaden and expand our horizon to also include what we refer to as aspiring real estate investors and real estate enthusiasts, because we do believe that there is a starting point to the ladder, and that ladder starts at the level of knowledge. So once again, welcome to today's edition of the real estate webinars that Fine and Country is hosting in this season. Now, I would like to just start by saying that I personally, and this is my personal opinion, as the speaker for today, I do believe that real estate ownership has very deep spiritual roots. The whole idea of investing in real estate has a divine stream of approval and is therefore an asset class that I feel everyone must consider seriously as part of their wealth creation. Just stay on the screen. As part of their wealth creation and growth portfolio. The starting point of all real estate investment is from the sovereign owner of the earth. And so on this screen, you see I Am Real Estate, and that's a poem that I'm going to share because it's a very good poem, which you may or may not have heard of previously. It really just sets the parameters for what I'm sharing today. But I will also share some scriptural references because I look at the Bible as the biggest, success principles book, which helps you with business, with real estate investing, with life, with marriage, with relationships, with society, with building nations. And so why not, look at it for source of inspiration, direction, and wisdom for real estate. As a matter of fact, most of the very successful real estate investors have the Bible as their anchor and base in terms of their foundation for real estate investments. So you can see there's Psalm 24, which says the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. And so I'm going to be taking you through just a few key points today to just demonstrate that this is the basis of all real estate wealth. This is the foundation for all real estate. I like to say that if you think about it, that no one is, is so unique or so special that they do not interact with real estate. Everyone was either born in a hospital or in a home or in some space that would most likely qualify as real estate. The food that we eat comes from real estate. The hotels that we stay in when we travel for business, the workplaces, that's real estate. So on this screen, you can see different types of real estate, ranging from land to apartments, to office buildings, to just, the sprawling cities, reflected in this, on this screen. And so real estate is the Lord's. In those days, it was written, the earth is the Lord's. And so there's no real estate that is built that is not on a foundation of the earth. And the earth belongs to the Lord. And the fullness is what you see on the screen. These buildings, the office buildings, the hotels, the hospitals, the schools, the churches. And so the church cannot claim that it's only the church that is spiritual. All real estate is spiritual because all real estate is founded on the foundation of the earth. But what's really interesting is that, the Lord owns the earth, and the fullness thereof, everything, he owns it. But he's actually turned around and deeded it, to us who are here. He's given us, as it were, access to it and made us managers. He's given us an opportunity to, as it were, create the fullness. And so when you think about real estate, you think about land. And then from that point, you look at beneath the real estate, there are some assets, and that's where you get oil, that's where you get solid minerals and all of those things. And on top, you then get buildings. And even in some cases, you have right of way. You have, right of way in the air, you have right of way on the roads and all of that. And all of that comes from this very basis of real estate, of the earth is the Lord's. Very interesting concept. I'm hoping that at the end of this, we'll take another poll and get an indication whether I've managed to convince everyone. It's Friday, so I want you guys to just relax and we're just gonna have a light but informative day. And I'm also gonna be speaking from a place of obviously knowledge and authority, having been in real estate for many, many years, in addition to practicing law for more than a decade. So I will be your guide today on this journey to, as it were, embracing real estate with new eyes. What I'm looking to do is to expand your mind. So we talk about the earth and the fullness thereof, everything that's on top of the earth. But who uses the earth? And who has been given access to this earth to create value? It is man, it is you and I. And there's nothing more spiritual than man. Man did not create himself, at least most of us on this broadcast, on this webinar, recognize that we're not some Big Bang theory. We didn't just drop from the sky. We were created and we were breathed into. And that breath is the very source of spirituality. And so since we didn't create ourselves and we were created, by God who owns the earth and he's given us access to this earth, the question then is, why would you not want to take full advantage of that? So as we go along, I'd like to show you that as humans, we've been given the earth to manage. We've been given the earth to add value, and that's the fullness. If you let land fallow, there'll be no roads, there'll be no infrastructure, there'll be no houses, no buildings, and all of that. And therefore, that's why you have countries that are referred to an extent, that's an aspect of, the calculation of countries that are called developed or developing countries. And so if you think of Nigeria, if you think of most African countries, we are developing countries because there's still a lot to develop. We still have a lot of the earth still, as it were, undeveloped, in addition to other parameters that are used to, as it were, assess, the fullness, as it were, of any particular economy or location. So those are some points that I just want to leave you with as we move along to the very next slide. So what I'd like to do is share this poem to give you more context, and then I will share some additional scriptures that will convince you that real estate is spiritual. And I'm looking for the next slide, please. You have to be friendly to me today. Okay, so let's start. So it says, I am the basis of all wealth, the heritage of the wise, the thrifty and the prudent. I am the poor man's joy and comfort, and the rich man's prize, the right hand of capital, the silent partner of many thousands of successful people. I am the solace of the widow, the comfort of old age, the cornerstone of security against misfortune and want. I'm handed down to children through generations as a thing of greatest worth. I am the choicest fruit of toil. Credit respects me, yet I am humble. I stand before every man, bidding him to know me for what I am. I grow and increase in value through countless days. Though I seem dormant, my worth increases, never failing, never ceasing. Time is my aid, and population keeps up my gain. Fire and the elements I defy, for they cannot destroy me. I mean, that's just incredible. An asset that cannot be destroyed by fire. And of course, the reason it can't be destroyed by fire is that if you are an investor and you invest in real estate, you will insure it. And so to that end, real estate is not perishable. Let's move on. Next slide, please. Time is my aid. My possessors learn to believe in me. Invariably, they wither and decay. I survive. The centuries find me younger. So if you think about it, for those of you logging in from the UK, you have some buildings that are, hundreds of years old. And as a matter of fact, they have not just historical value, but they have financial value attached to that historical value. Unfortunately, in a country like Nigeria, and perhaps in some developing countries, we've not learned the importance of historical real estate. And so a few days ago, I was in Ikoyi on Bodilon, and I was on one of these properties, sort of the Cape Dutch style of design, the old colonial homes. And it was just, you could just see the character in this building, and you could see the grounds, beautiful, green, lush, landscape. But the house itself, so much character, so much history. But in a few months, maybe in a few years, the whole of Bodilon, we're going to have, obviously, tall buildings, and we don't have many historical buildings. But in other places, those types of properties are prized and refurbished and, just really brought back into significant value. We have the National Theatre, we have Federal Secretariat. If the Federal Secretariat, the old Federal Secretariat in Ikoyi was, say, repurposed, and all of that, the historical value could still remain for centuries to come because of the history of it. But in addition, the use of it, because it is real estate, it is not perishable. So human beings die, soldier go, soldier come, but the centuries find these real estates, find them younger because they're being constantly upgraded in the right way, in the right places. And so it goes on to say, the thriftless all speak ill of me. The charlatans of finance attack me. I'll leave that one. I am trustworthy. I am sound. Unfailingly, I provide. Yes, of course. Minerals and oils come from me. I am the producer of food, the basis for ships and factories, the foundations of banks, absolutely. Yet I am so common that thousands, unthinking and unknowing, pass me by. Guys, this is real estate. Real estate is so common that every day we pass it by. And I like to say, that the word POUR stands for passing over real estate opportunities repeatedly. Passing over real estate opportunities repeatedly. And I'm going to explain to you that even when you don't have money yet, always use that word yet, because real estate is so tangible, real estate is so relevant, real estate is so critical to your spirituality. And I'll explain what I mean by that. That irrespective of who you are, if you're on this webinar, it means that you have the potential and the power to invest in real estate at some point. And it starts with you recognizing how critical real estate as an asset class is, how critical it is to humanity. It is absolutely critical. I'm just going to share very quickly a quote by one of the American financiers and politicians called Russell Sage. It says, real estate is an imperishable asset, ever increasing in value. It is the most solid security that human ingenuity has devised. It is the basis of all security and about the only indestructible security. Now, if you think about it, anything that God creates cannot be destroyed. Us as human beings, being spiritual, even when we die, we're not destroyed. We move on essentially to another realm. So that's on the one side. And on the other hand, because the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof, the earth itself is a tangible, solid, foundation for everything else that is going on. And that's what this poem was referring to: the airports, the hospitals, every single thing. Every human being has an interaction and a connection to real estate. How powerful is that? When you think about Jesus the Master, who obviously is a role model for some of us, he was born in a manger. So from the beginning, he was interacting and engaging with real estate. Even those of you who, if someone feels, oh, well, I wasn't born in a home or a hospital or a hotel or whatever, wherever you were born, I'm sure they had to go into some real estate to either buy what they used to bring you out, or the doctors came from an office or something. So everyone is constantly engaging in real estate. And so if that's the case, it's important for us to then recognize that real estate is so relevant to our lives. And, so you have the real estate itself, which, some of you refer to as property, and then you have people. So it's real estate or property and then people. And if you think about those two things, what it then means is that you have been placed here to, as it were, solve a problem for people. And you can solve that problem through real estate. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a few minutes. But what I'd like to do before I just take you through these 5 keys to understanding and winning in real estate, I just want to share a few more scriptures to just, wrap this aspect up. So, blessed are the gentle, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Who are these meek people? They're diligent people, because they're people who will pay attention. They're people who are, meek enough to stop, listen to new perspectives, understand new things, and actually learn how to create value for society. Because all you have to do is think about Nigeria. What is our population? What's the current population of Lagos? What is the population of Ikoyi? What's the population of Kigali? The other day, last year, at the end of last year in December, I was in Kigali in the first week. And it's just incredible what they've done there. I was in Accra in November. I was in the UK in, say, October. And anywhere you go, you see people and you see real estate. But in between people and real estate, there's still a gap. There's still multiple opportunities. And the more developed the country is, the more that solution in terms of the provision of real estate solutions will need to go high. And then in terms of developing countries, like African countries, like Nigeria, Kigali, and some of these places, what you then see is, let's see, what's it asking me? Switch camera. Okay, what you see is that they're usually quite lateral, rather horizontal, rather than vertical. So it's as countries or cities develop that you see more of height as opposed to more of horizontal, skylines, as it were. But the more horizontal a skyline is, please pay attention to it, the bigger the opportunities that exist. Because it just means that there is an opportunity for the provision of real estate solutions to solve people's problems. for you to bring the fullness, as it were, onto the earth. So that second scripture was, blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. And when they inherit the earth, they're diligent enough to do what it takes to create value for society, so that they're rewarded with the ability to build foundations using real estate. Check out most businesses. They can't do without real estate. Like I said, even Jesus was born in a manger, which a manger is a money-making hospitality segment of real estate. Okay. I also like Psalm 37, which says, but the humble, i.e. those of you who are here now, quite warm, shall inherit the earth and will delight themselves in abundant prosperity. This demonstrates that true riches is locked up with land ownership. Once you inherit the earth, if you know what to do, you will then delight yourself in abundant prosperity. Obviously, when we do advanced actual masterclasses, we actually look at the different aspects of, extracting value from real estate, no matter how small or no matter how big. And different locations, different timelines, different seasons determine what sorts of values you can extract and convert into the fullness on that real estate. So there are many ways to extract value from land, from the earth, okay, in order for you to delight yourself in abundant prosperity. So there are many ways to do that. It's ranging from warehousing, which if you look at that poem that I just read, it talked about, where things are stored, to hospitality, to educational facilities, to medical centers, to homes, to offices, to religious centers, event centers. And it is as you solve these human needs that you get abundant prosperity. And so when you think about a country like Nigeria or Ghana or Rwanda or South Africa or whatever country, most of the wealth of nations is tied to real estate, because real estate is the base. And then if you remember in the poem, it talked about it being the asset, the collateral, the security that is used. And so the whole financial system is actually based on real estate. So why wouldn't you want to be part of this? Why wouldn't you want to be part of creating value in this ecosystem? Is this making sense? Yes, no? Are you getting something from this? Let me know. I like to chat as we go along. It's making sense? Excellent, fantastic. Okay, awesome. Thank you. So another one I just want to share very quickly. Psalm 115 verse 16 says, the heavens are the heavens of the Lord. So God is in the heaven. And listen to what it says. It says, but this earth he has given to who? To the sons and the daughters of men. It says to the sons, but I know it refers to men and women, right? Those of you who know that I believe that women should own real estate. That's I don't know if that's showing on there. Real women invest in real estate, okay? Just like real men. So it says in Psalm 115 verse 16, the heavens are the heavens of the Lord. So God is in the heaven and he has handed over the earth to us. That's for you and I to take territory and have dominion through real estate ownership and value creation through solving different aspects of society's problems. I mean, we're talking affordable housing, we're talking social housing, we're talking, students housing, we're talking housing for the vulnerable, we're talking housing for government workers, we're talking housing at the luxury segment, we're talking housing for, property for offices, for warehousing, for hospitality. We're talking, think about it. Do you know that during this pandemic, when they're setting up these COVID areas and tents, that right there is real estate. They couldn't have done it in the air. It's done on land, or the conversion of an existing property has been used, as it were, in these times and converted to a combination of, as it were, housing and hospitality as a holding area, isolation centers and all of that. The next one that I'd like to just read, I really love this one, is Genesis 13 verse 14 to 17. It says, arise, walk about the land through its length and breadth, for I will give it to you. So God wants to give you land, right? I know that most people who signed up to be here signed up because of the theme. So I'm going to be comfortable with sharing these things, So when I say that real estate is spiritual, think about how many billions of people in the world, close to 8 billion people. Then Nigeria, close to about 200 or something, depending on who you're listening to. And he's saying, arise, walk. So you don't need to walk the whole world. You need to just take a location and walk. It's Genesis 13, verse 14 to 17. Arise, walk about the land through its length and breadth, for I will give it to you. God wants to give you the land. So why wouldn't you be interested? But are you walking the land? Are you investigating real estate opportunities in your location? Are you going to property viewings whether or not you are ready? Arise is the first instruction. That is the first instruction. You must first follow the instruction. You must first desire real estate and then decide to arise and begin gathering information. Gathering information, guys, is free. Go online, conduct tours of new properties, new estates, and eventually, if it is feasible, go and walk the length and the breadth of the property physically. Obviously, during this sort of lockdown time and all that, you don't want to, expose yourself unnecessarily. So go online, do virtual tours and all of that, the sort of properties that you're interested in. And if you think, I always like to use Monopoly, you always start, the ladder starts at the bottom. You're not going to buy a commercial, an office block as your first investment, unless obviously you're an inheritance kid. And even then, it makes sense to start at a place where you can understand. So what am I saying? Spend time getting information. 3D tours will bring things alive. Whatever you do, arise and inspect the land, the property. It's only by seeing and immersing yourself that you begin to get the faith to take new territory. I like to say to people that real estate is a belief game. It's first about your mindset rather than about the property. I see people who have money, but if they don't believe, then they don't believe. It's like, oh, well, but I invest in this, but I don't really know real estate. I'm not sure. Well, then get the information. And so I'm laying this down because what I'm building towards is to help you gain the confidence to see that even if you're already a real estate investor, that there is more you can do. Because in relation to the number of people that exist on earth, real estate will never be enough. So which means that really and truly, as much as we say, oh, supply exceeds demand and all of that, if you understand the principles that I'm sharing today, you will begin to learn how to take, as it were, a patch of land or a piece of real estate and create value in that particular space, in that particular plot, in relation to that particular location, and add value to humans. Because ultimately, the most important thing that makes us spiritual beings and that makes us create fullness is our ability to add value. I'll talk a bit more about that. But let me just wrap this up by saying, finally, not quite finally, because I have many more examples, but for this now, it says Psalm 127 verse 1. If God doesn't build the land, the property, the house, the builders only build shacks. If God doesn't guard the city, the night watchman might as well nap. I'm just going to leave you with that and ask you, what is your interpretation of that? What is your interpretation of that? For me, it's basically make sure that you have a divine outlook and a blueprint. Build how God builds, okay? Build to add value, to solve problems, build cities, build homes. There's a place in Isaiah that talks about, repairing the broken breaches, the roads, the devastated places. And honestly, when you look around Nigeria, if you go to Obalende, if you go to Marina, if you go to Oshodi, if you go to Ketu, if you go to Iyanopaja, if you go to Ikorodu, like literally, especially in developing countries, there's so many places to add value. And human beings have been created to be value-adding beings. Human beings have been created to add significant value. Now, to the extent that you recognize the opportunity that exists for all the people who require the use of real estate in the different spectrum, to that extent, are you then able to begin to recognize the incredible opportunity that exists in real estate? That being said, I want to share something very quickly that is relevant, especially at a time like this. At a time, it's pandemic time. Obviously, economies are being affected, and so in a sense, recession. And obviously, as a real estate investor and advisor, I like to say to the top 1% of African investors, especially Nigerian investors, there's a question that I'm constantly asked, and if I dare say, actually confronted with all the time. Like, all these properties and all these highbrow places, prime properties are struggling, it's recession and all of that stuff. And I always say, if you understand the fundamentals of real estate, then that question will not be relevant, because there are markets within markets, because there's always an opportunity in every distress, as it were. As a matter of fact, distress times are the biggest opportunities for real estate investors that understand the game. And I just want to give you a biblical perspective to investing in times of distress. This will blow your mind. And, in my private sessions, I will go into more details with that. What I'd like to share is from Jeremiah, where, believe it or not, God tells Prophet Jeremiah, he says, go and buy a field. In verse 6, he actually says to him, go and buy a field. He said, this is what the Lord says, go and buy a field. Let me take you there. Give me a second. It says, the word of the Lord came to me, right? And says, your uncle is going to come to you and say, buy my field at Anathoth, right? Because as nearest relative, it's your right and duty to buy it, right? And so just as the Lord had told him, it's Jeremiah 42. I'd advise you to read the whole chapter of 42, but I'm focused on verse 6 and verse 15 specifically, because verse 6 is where he got the word, okay? In our real estate masterclasses, most of our clients who invest, we have clients from all beliefs and all that, share the place of understanding, getting the lead in the nudge to invest in real estate or a particular real estate. And so that's why I'm sharing this, because there are times where you will be thinking to do something and sometimes you don't do it, but maybe it's a direction that is leading you to abundant prosperity. And then you leave it on the table because, it's times of distress, I shouldn't move, I shouldn't buy more, I shouldn't do this and all that, and you're allowing fear, as it were, to drive you instead of seeing the opportunities. But let's look at what happened. This is a time of war, and yet Jeremiah is being told by God to go and invest in real estate. And then guess what he said? He said, I knew that this was the word of the Lord, and so I bought the field. Okay, he bought the field from his cousin, signed and sealed the deed, had it witnessed. Guys, listen, if you don't have deed, if you don't have title, you don't have real estate, okay? Even if they give you the land, if you don't have your title, you don't have real estate. Real estate is a documentation game. Jeremiah chapter 42, I was on verse 6. But let's go very quickly to verse 15, where it says, after I had given the deed of purchase to, his assistant, I prayed to know. Verse 15 says, for this is what the Lord Almighty, God of Israel says, houses, fields, and vineyards will again be bought in this land. Did you guys get that? I have someone who's hounding me with a call, right? So he bought it. But what's interesting is that this was during the time of war. Jeremiah himself was in prison, and while he was waiting, God told him, go and buy that property. Go and buy that property. Guess where the property was? The property was in enemy territory. And I say that because some of the best deals and some of the best ways to make money from real estate is when there's a distress or a challenge around either the particular real estate that you can then put on your mind and your wisdom and resourcefulness to solve, or in a season or time of distress. Because many people in times of distress, like during the pandemic or during a recession, tend to lose their belief. And that's why I say real estate is a belief game, okay? It's what you believe. So if you believe there is an opportunity, if you feel like, I understand this, I have direction, and then you work with, as you can see, he didn't just go do it by himself, he worked with professionals, as it were, bought land, and yes, you can do some of it yourself, depending on what level you're playing. at, but this was a war zone. He was doing business in a war zone. So what he heard moved him to action. How spiritual can that be? So you can't tell me that it's because there's a recession, or because there is a war, or because there's a challenge around the real estate, or because people have been burnt. So I don't want, that's why it's a belief thing. What do you believe? And so let me begin to wrap this up. We made this quite short because we obviously are providing this information to educate you. Just read Jeremiah 42. I can see people asking, where. So can we move on? No, stay here, please. So let me just take you through very quickly 5 keys to winning and understanding real estate investments, okay? Which I hope that you now have enough biblical, spiritual, and scriptural basis to at least get interested, or to at least begin to upgrade your investments, okay? So the first one I want you to know, there are 5 keys that I'd like to share with you very quickly. One is you have to know your real estate mindset. That's why I was trying to shape your mindset with the first few minutes. It's all about your attitude, your belief, your creativity. It's as far as your eyes can see. It's wherever the soles of your feet tread on, you shall possess. Remember what I said about you should go about. Many years ago, I started investing in real estate 18 to maybe 20 years ago. And I started with information. And do you know that the interesting thing is that you can actually benefit, create profit from real estate with using just the information, trading the information, but that's a different conversation. In regards to this, what I want you to know is that you first have to have the belief. If you're that kind of person who is constantly questioning, of course you should ask questions. If you read my book, you will know that I always start with, assessment, understanding, knowledge. Knowledge is supreme, but you must move from the place of constantly seeking knowledge to now the place of taking action. So it really starts with your belief, your mindset. What is your real estate mindset? Is it a mindset that has been shaped by table conversations with amateurs, or has it been shaped by people who've been burnt in real estate? I was burnt in real estate 18 years ago, but that didn't stop me from advancing, because I did not allow the one transaction where I was burnt to become, as it were, a limiting factor to doing more. Whatever you're doing, it's understand that there is a bridge to that gap of information or knowledge that you have. All you need to do is fill that gap by working with knowledgeable advisors to support you in that journey. You can read books, you can research and all of that, but nothing, I repeat that, takes the place of working with knowledgeable real estate advisors. But you first have to start with your mindset. And that's why, as a professional, as an entrepreneur, as an investor myself, I'm very passionate about teaching people, about helping people, as it were, to expand their minds. Because whether it's in business or in your career or investing, your investment philosophy is affected by your mindset, by what you believe. And what you believe can mean that you stay very puny. I have a client many years ago who wanted to invest in real estate, and it was actually Banana Island. This was like 15 years ago. And I remember saying to him, do you know you can actually afford to buy 2 plots? So instead of buying 1,000 square meters, why don't you buy 2,000? Why don't you buy 2 plots, and then you can build this and you can afford it, because I know how much money you've indicated that you have. But he was looking to play small. I give that example a lot of times, but I've had many examples like those. I've had clients who thought they could only buy 1 apartment or 1 house. But when you show them how to buy more or expand their belief and thereby expand their resources, and in one of the slides you'll see that I talk about that it's not, it's not capital that you're lacking. What you're lacking is vision. And that's why I shared with you how critical and how relevant real estate is to all sectors of every economy. So once you understand that, you understand the magnitude of what the opportunity is. And of course, you're not trying to solve all the opportunities. What you're trying to do is be the person who takes a particular space and solves a problem there, right? It could be old people's homes. It could be schools. It could be retail centers. It could be millennial housing. You just take a space, understand it, dominate it. But the question is, what is your real estate mindset? Do you believe that there are opportunities, or do you believe, oh, it's a recession, no opportunity? Okay, and that will determine. And so there are lots of scriptures. There's a scripture that says, as far as your eyes can see, wherever the soles of your feet shall tread on, you shall possess. But the question is, are you treading? Do you dare to tread, or do you just stay, shivering in the one that you currently own? The next one is know your real estate market. Okay, so think about it, guys. Listen, I was in the last Fine and Country webinar, the real estate webinar, the COVID-19, the effects of COVID-19 on real estate. We had the chief economist for Price Waterhouse, Dr. Nevin, and he was, he's constantly shared his opinion about, in a sense, how undervalued Lagos real estate is. And if you think about Lagos in, say, 30 years, in 50 years, in 100 years, remember the poem that I shared earlier? So when you think about real estate from a long-term perspective, you then understand the magnitude of real estate as an asset class. So the first factor in winning at real estate, understanding real estate, is to know your real estate mindset. The second one is know your real estate market. If you don't understand the potential, what you first see people, there's some landlords who have made incredible tons of money just solving the problem of what we will, you can't hear me well? Yes. I'm broadcasting from Nigeria. My power's gone off for a second. Let me know if you can still hear me. Can anyone hear me? Yes? Okay, so I'm just gonna go on then. Okay, fantastic. I'm just gonna go on. So if you look at population, that's the starting point, okay? Then people, right? People make up population. People have problems. The question is, are you the one who is going to create the opportunities? Are you going to solve and serve the real estate or the property problems that these number of people have? So 20 million or 25 million people in Lagos, 200 million in Nigeria. If you take even 10,000, if you take 1,000, if you take 50 and decide to solve a real estate problem for them, whether it's a plot of land that you invest in and, as it were, subdivide, or whether it's an office that you serve young entrepreneurs or you serve multinational, there are different layers to real estate. The question is, when you look at this map that I show, which one do you see yourself solving? Know your market, understand your market. That whole market intelligence aspect is what Fine and Country specializes in, because we work mainly with sophisticated investors. So we're dealing with mainly developers of, top-end residential and commercial and mixed developments and that sort of thing. But we also advise people who solve problems at different levels of the market. And so we have investors who are solving problems in, say, the millennial or the migrant population. The migrant population would be people who say, for example, you live in Ogun State, your work is in Victoria Island or Ikoyi in the center, in the city center, but you're moving, or people who are traveling, and so they're creating what we refer to as accessible and affordable housing solutions, because these are temporary types of accommodation, or some of them are for millennial investors or millennial users, as it were. So there are different angles to this. You just determine which space you want to basically occupy. So know your real estate mindset, know your real estate market. The third one is to know your real estate mission. Okay, what problem do you feel uniquely qualified to address? Whatever it is, at the heart of it should be that you want to serve and you want to solve problems. Because it's when you solve problems that you create value. It's when you create value that you then exchanging value, as it were. Okay? And what's that value? People then pay you. And there are many aspects of the real estate value chain where you can serve and solve, right? There are people who serve, who are service providers within the real estate value chain. They're cleaners, they're facilities companies, they're roadside sweepers, there are people who own the cranes, there are people who do just the windows or the doors, there are people who do clearing of farm yards or whatever it is. My point is, it's as far as your mind can imagine, but the bottom line to all of this is that you should be serving and solving. You know, since this is a real estate is spiritual webinar, I want you to recognize that the golden rule to loving your neighbor as yourself and serving people should be at the heart of what it is that you're doing in real estate. Okay, that you're solving a problem. If you decide to go to a Balinde and begin to clean the place up, build real estate to solve maybe young professionals or young families, or you go to K2 or you're in London or you're in Kigali, wherever you are, the point is, even if you're building only one house, understand that you are serving a human being and you are solving a problem. That's the heart, and that's what you then do in exchange. Imagine real estate owners, maybe investors, landlords in this season. How are you treating your clients or your tenants? Are you mindful of the health and safety issues around where they live, for example? And so you'll be amazed that when this is all said and done, quite a few real estate investors would have lost their clients because they did not realize that at the heart of real estate is service and solution. So it's not just about making money from real estate, it's that the people who solve the highest problems, the people who solve it the best, putting at the core of it as a mission, they're the people who create the most value. So the question is, what is your real estate mission? Is it just to make money? You can make money while solving problems and solving them in a way that serves humanity. So when you start thinking about the segment of real estate you're going to operate, do it with a mindset. Remember what I said? They build in vain if they build outside of God's values. Whatever you're building, even if you have a high rise, it will be like a shack ultimately in people's minds if you have no values. So know your real estate mission. Are you someone who wants to operate at the affordable housing end? Or do you want to operate in the office or in the retail or in hospitality? What is it? Determine it, and whatever it is, solve and serve. Let's move on very quickly. The next thing is, after you know these things, you must know your next real estate move. Now that you know that real estate is spiritual, now that you know that real estate is a massive opportunity serving massive populations, massive qualified segments, you've determined the segment where your mission is to serve, as it were. There's a part of the scripture that talks about, I mentioned it earlier, which is, building bridges, as it were, resolving devastated cities. So you see old rundown places, you take it on and all that stuff. So when you know and you've done all this scoping, it's then important for you to know your next real estate move. Take accurate action. Don't stay in the place of analysis paralysis. Small steps will eventually lead to big territory. I like the story of Jabez, once again in the Bible, 2 Chronicles, where Jabez was, he was tired of small moves. He was tired of being stuck. He was tired of not being part of the real estate game. And one day he just said, you know what, Lord, listen, enlarge my territory. That's what he said. Bless me indeed. And God enlarged his territory. Go do some Bible study, guys. So start with what you have. If you have networks, use it. So for example, for those of you who may not have gotten into real estate, or maybe you're even in real estate, either as an investor or as a user, certainly everyone on this broadcast is using real estate, that's for sure. But everyone has a network. So the question is, can you benefit from having a network? So Fine & Country West Africa, for example, has a system where if you were to refer real estate transactions to us, clients, or real estate, you actually can earn an income from it. So maybe your first move and your next move, that's where I started in real estate. Maybe your next move is finding out what Fine & Country has to offer and becoming an independent referral, a person or entrepreneur, and add that as a passive source of income for yourself. You have knowledge. Some of you may have money. If you have money, then you could partner with people who have knowledge. Or you could have money, but you don't have the real estate. And maybe your money is not enough, then you can collaborate for greater heights. But the point is, there's so many moves in real estate. Recently, we published something to do with the support services around real estate. And subsequently, we're also going to publish, what the opportunities are. And then we're also hosting a real estate investment masterclass at the end of July 24th. If you're serious about actually extracting value, identifying where the opportunities are in Lagos, specifically in Nigeria, then you want to make sure that you attend that masterclass. The details will be at the end. And the fifth and the final one is that you must know your real money. Know your real money. What is in your hands? But I put this as the last because most people tend to start with here, forgetting that I said real estate is a belief transaction, okay? And that by the time you get to the level of money, there's so many resources, there's so many strategies. If you don't have enough money or you have no money, my first real estate transaction, I had no money. And I continue every now and then to do some transactions where I don't necessarily have all the money or even some of the money. But when you understand how to create essentially prosperity through real estate, and if you take a hint from the previous slide, you will know that there's a combination of assets that you can bring to the table. And so the final scriptural reference I'll give you to that is, if you remember the story of the widow in 2 Kings, where, the prophet asked her, she said, oh, my husband died. And meanwhile, her husband was a prophet. So, if you guys are on this broadcast, maybe you need to tell your pastors that I need to share this message with them if I can fit it into my time, or get them to attend the next one, because a lot of prophets die without assets, right? And this poor prophet left his poor wife and her son, penniless, and she didn't have anything. And so the prophet came and said, what do you have? And she said, oh, my husband died. I've been left with nothing. We're poor. The creditors are about to take us and, take my son into slavery. The prophet said, what do you have? And she said, I've got nothing. And he said, no, surely you have something. And she said, oh, actually, I have something in my house. I have a little jar. But she had a house and she had a jar. But most times, if you go back to the first slide, the first factor that I shared for winning, it's your mindset. So whether it's your real estate mindset, or it's your business mindset, or it's your personal mindset, your mindset is the most critical winning factor to anything in life, certainly to investments. So you need to upgrade that mindset. If you don't upgrade your mindset, you're never going to make money from real estate. Why? Because many people have the wrong and flawed mindset. And so they may feel, oh, I have money. But the question is, you have the money, but if you had a better mindset and a better understanding, thank you for my supporter, Elijah, who's sharing the scriptures, 2 Kings 4. Then what you'll do is that you will actually stretch your money. It will go much farther. The point I'm making is that everybody has, if you have a mind, then you have something. You have something that you can start with in real estate. People always think that real estate is about money, but real estate is about terms. It's about knowing where and how to access the money. I was speaking to a client earlier today. They want to buy something, let's say, and that's where I specialize in helping people to see how they can do so much more with what they have. Now, most of our clients obviously are people who can, do quite a lot. But even in that quite a lot, if you don't have the creativity, then what tends to happen is that you end up not really optimizing what you have. And that's why you find lots of people, they have all these properties, they're just sitting there, they're not optimized. And that's why one of the services that we offer, and especially in this season, is helping people to review their real estate portfolio and to develop a strategy to optimize it. So that you're not sitting like this widow and saying, I have nothing, or oh, I have just this. But meanwhile, there's so much value in what you have. Or you say, I have $1 million, or only 500, or only 200. But meanwhile, the question is, what can I do with that? Right? So you need to understand where and how to access the funds. Understand who has it and what's required. If you remember, the prophet told her, go and ask your neighbors for more jars. And she did. And, the rest is history. And so the level of depth in that alone is a different masterclass altogether, which I don't have time to go into because I'd like to take some questions. So what am I saying in all of this? I've shared with you 5 quick ways of understanding and winning at real estate, starting with know your real estate mindset, know your real estate market, know your real estate mission, and know your, what else was fourth one? Know your next real estate move, and then know your real estate, your real money. So opportunity, guys, is knocking. The question is, are you ready? Will you change your mind? Will you start with where you are? Know what your vision is, your appetite, your pocket, know your market and your sub-markets. Understand that location is everything. But guys, you know that when they say location is everything, that it is not the physical location. It is the location of your mindset. That's where it is at. It is more important than the property. The location, i.e. where your mindset is, the perspective you have, how you see what you see at the time you see, is more important than the actual property. Too many people who can do so much better and therefore create an abundance of prosperity end up doing just below par because they're not stretching their minds, as it were. So it's not a physical location. It is the location of your mind, i.e. where are you at as far as your mindset, as far as your belief, as far as your attitude, as far as what you see. That's why the Bible talks about as far as you can see. That is what you have. It is as far as you can see. Let's wrap this up quickly. So this is just food for thought, guys. Have you enjoyed this? Let me know in the chat box. I see the comments. Thank you, Audrey. Thank you. Bossa Day. Okay. So let's just go through these to wrap up the points I've been trying to make. As far as your mind, as far as your eyes can see, and your mind, your heart can conceive, that's how much you can create and command. I mean, and then I have this other one that says 4, passing over opportunities repeatedly. I also say passing over real estate opportunities repeatedly. And then Joshua 1:3, I love that one. It says, every place that the sole of your feet will tread on, I have given you. Honestly, guys, I believe that real estate truly rocks. That's why when I say real estate rocks, people don't understand. Yes, I've been playing some music in the background as I've been playing, I've been sharing with you. So yes, it rocks in the sense that, you can have fun doing it. That's my point. You can have fun looking at it from a different mindset and perspective, not in the same old tired way that most people look at real estate. I believe that it's not just about the resources, it's about your resourcefulness. Never look at real estate from the perspective of what do I have alone. What do I have is important, but if you're creative, if you're resourceful, you can find things that you have that you didn't realize you had. Capital is not the problem. Vision is. When we work with clients, we find a lot of times that what they're lacking is, is vision, is understanding, is clarity. And so what we do is we work with them to clarify, because if I can get a client to clarify, we tend to find that the solutions are much easier. So guys, opportunity is knocking. It's loud, it's clear. I shared with you about Jeremiah. In these times, that's when you should be doing real estate. So the question is, what is stopping you? Are you ready? That's the question. So I hope that I've managed to convince somebody how exciting real estate is and that real estate truly rocks. And let's move on. So coming soon, I'm glad that you've gotten value, Abby. Thank you. We have the real estate masterclass, investor masterclass. I'm really excited about it. I'm going to be taking it personally. So if you're interested in participating in that, it will be beneficial if you're already a real estate investor or you have some funds, because what will be useful is that you're able to take advantage of some of the opportunities. We're not going to be selling you properties. We're going to be showing you how to where the opportunities are and how to expand, as it were, what you have. Also, if you're an advisor to people who invest in real estate. If you're part of a family office, if you have your own real estate portfolio and you want, to be handheld by somebody who has advised multi-billion dollars of real estate transactions in the last 18 years, then you want to, be part of this. Thank you, Blossom. I'm so glad you could make this. The second thing, for those of you who can't be part of the Real Estate Masterclass, is that, we have the Real Estate Rocks podcast, which is coming soon. And we're doing this because I feel that, teaching is my way of serving the world. And if you follow me on social media and my newsletters, personal ones, separate from Fine and Country, you know that I like to enlighten people, because I know that if I can get to transform people's minds, then they can be really powerful contributors to society and solve significant problems. And for the longest time, I've done real estate mainly focused on our top clients, as it were. But in this season, as you guys can all see, during this pandemic, we now realize that, listen, we're all the same. The rich, the poor, we all cry, right? And so it's important to have as many people as possible. It's my desire. I've always loved, the idea of getting people to see what is possible. When I started my real estate career and investment, I was working mainly with young professionals. And so I'm full circle to dedicate some aspect of my time to go back to that ladder and help some more people climb the real estate ladder over time. And so that's what the real estate podcast is about. The presentation is gone. It's my cue to wrap up. Okay, guys. So did you get value from this? Let me know. I would like to take questions. I would like to take questions. Thank you. Oh, fantastic. I can see Padeke, Mrs. Adekwetum. Thank you very much. Awesome. On the next webinar, we're going to deal with how to win at real estate during a recession. With the solid foundation that we've laid, we'll take it further and, more in depth. So I hope that this was insightful for you and that you got value from this. Fantastic. Any questions? Let's take a look. Three-hour strategy session for real estate investors. At a certain level. No, you will not get a replay because this is a free session. If you do want a replay, it's available for a small fee, which we contribute to the Fine and Country Foundation, where we provide and support vulnerable members of society. Okay, I'm only going to answer questions that are relevant to this section. How can I be a part of this as a young person? What are the procedures? Please send a DM to Fine and Country West Africa on Instagram or LinkedIn if you're interested in joining the referral circle, so that you can earn a passive income. This is our current real estate refined magazine. I've written an article, an editorial there, real estate investment in an era of VUCA, volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. It's really just, not just, because it's very solid advice, rethinking real estate in times of crisis and, in difficult times, challenging times, okay? I will only answer questions that are put in the Q&A. So comments I can read, but questions have to go into the Q&A box. Okay, in the absence of any additional questions in the Q&A box, what I'd like to do is just launch, to do a 2-minute, actually it's just a minute, the poll. Chinedu, if I can get the poll. So please stick with us and let's just take a quick poll just for the fun of it. And then we can, are there any more questions? Okay, I see some more questions. Could you handhold entrepreneurs looking to venture into real estate, hospitality sector in the Middle East? I can handhold you, yes. Please contact us or, yes, send a message to Fine and Country, or I can give you a number, 0809-600-0049. Please send a message, okay? The poll has started and then I'll see if there's any more questions to answer. How can I start my own real estate business through a referral system in your company? Very easy. That's exactly what we're looking to. I'm actually going to have a segment for just people who are interested in the referral circle. So the poll is in progress. Let's see the poll. Please answer the poll. Participate in the poll, please. Just want to get a sense of who is on here. Have you invested in real estate? The second question is the size of the real estate investment, below 50 million, up to 150, above 150 million. Just indicate. It's an anonymous poll, so we don't need to know who you are. The third question is, if you were to invest, where would you invest? If I gave you $1 million now and said, make an investment, where would you invest? Abuja, Lagos, Port Harcourt, London, UK, or other parts of Nigeria? We're going to indicate how you can access the recording for a fee. Everyone will receive an email, and you have an opportunity to get this recording, which is a very valuable one, valuable resource. Okay. Poll still in progress. Admin, can we wrap this up? Fantastic. Okay, some people are asking questions. How do I essentially go through this training in order to have full knowledge about real estate? That's what Fine & Country is focusing on. We're actually, we've launched a real estate investment masterclass series to actually handhold people through one. If you want to go into real estate as a professional, you know, so you can understand the market, but also on the other hand, an investor masterclass for people who want to make better informed real estate decisions. So if we were to provide our typical advisory services in the, you know, several thousands of dollars, but, you know, we've made this very accessible and very affordable so that as many people as possible. So those details will be released in due course. So look out for them. Is there a place for professionals in real estate? I mean, those who are from construction industry, like architects, who do not have the finance. How can their technical knowledge? Absolutely, Olaolu, that's an excellent question. First of all, architects can make money through referrals. You know, you have a network. So that's one. Two, you're part of the value chain of real estate. I mean, there's no real estate. Real estate is not something that just comes from, you know, from the sky. It is something that has to be designed. So you can provide your service by being part of a network of investors, so that way you have access to these transactions as early as possible. Someone is asking, looking at the horizon in the COVID era, where recession looms, when is the best time to get the best bargain real estate deals in Nigeria in 2020 as investment period? That is at the core of our masterclass, the opportunities. But what I would say to you is, the point is there are markets within markets. So it depends on what location already that you're operating in. But if you understood the fundamentals of all that I shared earlier, which is that the Nigeria is a developing economy, which means that we are not fully developed, means we've not solved all the problems of real estate amongst other problems. And so irrespective of COVID, are people needing housing? Irrespective of COVID, you know, whatever segment you take, what sort of problems can you solve? Okay. Let's see, I just saw a comment. Please don't end the webinar at the end. Okay. All right, great. Okay, fantastic. Is the poll done? Are we done with the poll? Can we launch the response so we can wrap this up? Fantastic. Have you invested in real estate? So 78% of the people on today's webinar, which has over 100 people at the end now. 78% of the people who responded have invested in real estate. 78% have invested in real estate below 50 million. 10% have invested in real estate up to 150 million. And 12% have invested in real estate above 150 million. And then the third question, which is, if you were to invest, where would you invest as a top pick? Vast majority of people on this particular broadcast or session, 62% will invest in Lagos, 14% in Abuja, 0% in Port Harcourt, 16% in the UK, in London, 9% other parts of Nigeria. Fantastic. You guys have been amazing. I'm glad that we've given value, and you in turn have given value by responding to this poll. So my last question to you before we wrap up this edition of Real Estate is Spiritual is a very simple question that I asked at the beginning. And that question is, do you believe that real estate is spiritual? It's a yes or no. Please take up the presentation and let me see the responses. Okay, fantastic. So my job is done here. Thank you guys. God bless you. This has been amazing for me also. I've served you and I've sown today into your spiritual real estate mindset. And so I'm really grateful that you guys have taken something out of all of this and that you've received value. I just want to wrap it up with my last quote, which says, this is actually a Hebrew quote. No, there are two quotes I'd like to share. The first one is by Louis Glickman, which says, the best investment on earth is earth. The best investment on earth is earth. And I like to say that if you think about it, real estate is the real deal. While some things can disappear in an economy, you know, like you can have companies completely disappear. If you invested in real estate, it's likely to be there. You cannot insure certain investments, you know, but you can always insure real estate. And that's why that poem that we read at the beginning was so profound. Then finally, I leave you with this final thought. It's a Hebrew proverb and it is food for thought. It says, he or she is not a full man or woman who does not own a piece of real estate. And I'll leave you with that. And I say thank you on behalf of Fine & Country, West Africa. Look out for the details. If you are an investor and you're wanting to deepen, specifically understand where the opportunities are at this time, you want to review your assets, your current real estate portfolio in order to optimize it, and as it were, pull out the fullness of it and the abundant prosperity that exists within real estate, you know, please contact me, contact Fine & Country, and we can schedule an advisory session for you. We're offering multiple opportunities to help people at different steps of the ladder. And then finally, my book, Real Women Invest in Real Estate, along with other numerous resources that we have, Astute Investors Guide. You know, we have so many resources. Just look out for them. Okay, thank you very much. And this is the end of our presentation. And because real estate rocks, I'm going to end this with some music. One of my favorites. Have an amazing weekend, everyone. Please stay safe. Keep washing your hands. Yes, that's Yanni, one of my favorites. Understand that there are opportunities everywhere. Just keep your eyes open, keep your heart open, keep your belief system at the top. Fantastic. I see there are quite a few Yanni lovers. That's awesome. Thank you, everyone. God bless you. Enjoy your weekend.